Hi, it's Nick on the 25th of May, continuing the theme this week of looking at callings, how we find our calling, what it is, how we block ourselves and trip ourselves up. And today, there's a pattern that I've certainly had in myself when I was younger, and I see it in many people when they're looking for what they were born to do, their calling, their vocation, is that they're coming at it from a place of desperate need. And I'm not for one moment saying that's wrong, because I understand that sometimes we do feel desperate. You know, I see people, and I've been like this myself at times, where it's like, I don't feel very good about myself, but if I had a calling, then I'd feel good about myself. I don't feel that significant, but if I had my calling, if I was living out my calling, then I'd feel like I was a more significant human being. So we're looking at our calling as a way of kind of filling up a feeling of deficiency or lack inside ourselves. It's like a desperate need to find it, rather than the other side of it, which is, as I've said, I think that our calling's already in us, and our calling is an expression of who we are and our fullness that exists in us. So it's almost like this desperation then blinds us to our existing wholeness and fullness. So just to finish off that previous point, what I've seen a number of times, and I've done this myself again, is I've kind of made up a calling. I've decided what my calling would be, because if it's this, then I feel like I'm an important, significant person. So just beware of that tendency that some of us have to decide what our calling must be, rather than kind of go inside and listen to what's being shared with us, and what's being offered to us, and what's being shown to us. Really, it's like, if that deeper part of us does already know what our calling is, our job isn't to make it up. Our job is to tune in to that frequency, if you like, and listen to it and allow it to surface in our consciousness. Because I do think that ultimately our calling is an expression of our wholeness, is an expression of our fullness. It's because we are, I believe, an amazing spiritual being in essence. That part of us in a way lacks for nothing. It's our human part that lacks for something. Feels like it lacks for something. It's our deeper self that's already wanting to share itself, wanting to express itself, because I do think our calling is an act of inherent generosity. We're generous to ourselves when we live our calling, truly, I believe, and we're generous to the world around us. Our calling is a form of sharing. It's not a form of self-aggrandizement, which I think can sometimes get into that loop of wanting it to inflate ourselves rather than have it as something to express ourselves. Because as I say, I do think our calling is our way of expressing ourselves creatively, expressing our gifts, our leadership gifts and capabilities in the world. That's what I ultimately think our calling is. It's how we make our biggest and loveliest contribution to the world. So I hope that's been helpful. God bless. Have a good day. Bye.